Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think happens? What do you think happens, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think happens after Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, and South Carolina? What do you think happens after Biden? His campaign doesn't do well in New Hampshire. His campaign right now is losing support in South Carolina. What do you think happens? His Hunter is getting investigated. What do you think takes place? What do you think takes place if a person like me who just looks at this from the vantage point of a supporter of President Trump, I don't really have any, I don't care who the Democratic Party's nominee is going to be. What do I care? First of all, Pete Buttigieg is a good candidate. Oh, by the way, he won. Completely. Now they might recanvass. Gee, what do you think's going to happen when they recanvass? You think they're going to find... The whole thing was a charade. Bernie Sanders should have run away with this. Bernie Sanders did not. I repeat, Bernie Sanders did not stick up for himself. And he did not. He did not say that, hey, if you cheat me again, you're gonna get, you got another thing coming. He didn't say that. Had he stuck up for himself in 2016, he would not have been cheated in 2020, but he didn't do that. UFO Talk! HA, I'm writing a biography of Bud Dwyer. This man deserves a pardon from President Trump. Please get the word out. Okay. UFO Talk. Let me see here. Thank you, UFO Talk. The issue here is that all right, UFO Talk, thank you. Wow. Okay, UFO Talk, thank you. The issue here is that Bernie Sanders has been taken out by a Democratic Party. That Eric H526, thank you, UFO Talk, thank you, UFO Talk. Continue your great work. Eric H526, thank you, Eric H526. Carl's Opinion! Good evening, Mr. Goodman Mods in chat. Carl's Opinion, thank you. So Carl's Opinion, Eric, and UFO Talk. What do you think's going to take place? This is all tailor-made for Hillary Clinton to become nominee. She's going to become nominee. This whole thing has been a charade. This whole thing has been a farce. Why do you think there's an app that was created coincidentally by former Clinton officials? There was also a dossier coincidentally that was purchased by Clinton. There was also coincidentally an Australian diplomat that worked with Clinton. Jimbo! Carl's Opinion, thank you. Jimbo! Great work, HA. Saw HRC stumping on Ellen. Hilarious. Wow. HS still paying. She's domination. There's a bunch of people here. Well, God bless you. God bless you. I stay out of that. I stay out of all of that. I can only tell you that I look at what is the most imposing. What is the most imposing force on the planet? That's Madam Secretary's ambition, greed, and desire. So, if you have unbridled ambition, Carl's Opinion, Jimbo, Eric H526, UFO Talk. If you have unbridled ambition, not seen since Attila the Hun, you can put every Olympian, the drive and desire of every Olympian, almost all politicians, every actor and actress in Hollywood, every Fortune 500 CEO into a cauldron, it wouldn't be 1/100th of the unbridled ambition that Madam Secretary has. You remember that song, whatever, na, na, na. It's going to be whatever Hillary wants, Hillary gets. And so that's it. And then people say, oh my God. But you're going to see they're going to turn on a dime. So here, they're all going to support Madam Secretary. Everybody from Mayor Pete to Bernie Sanders to Joe Biden, to Nancy Pelosi, to Robert De Niro, to Rob Reiner, to Hollywood, to Comey, all of the people who can't stand Trump are going to say, you know what? I bet you even Bill Maher will eventually say, you know, if you don't vote for Hillary this time, I don't know what to tell you. But here, Pete Buttigieg edges out Bernie Sanders and Iowa state Democrats say. So 100% of the votes are in. And the winner is, following days of chaos and uncertainty, Pete Buttigieg on Thursday night appeared to be the winner of the Iowa caucus. The former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, narrowly defeated Bernie Sanders as the last of the precincts reported their tallies, Iowa Democratic Party said. He had 564 state delegate equivalents to Sanders' 562. A 26.2 advantage over Sanders' 26.1 advantage. Now, this is all nonsense. So Jimbo and Carl's Opinion and UFO Talk and Eric H526, this is all nonsense. This is all nonsense. Okay? I mean, they're not really... All they needed was something called plausible deniability. They were cheating Bernie Sanders in broad daylight. The issue of the popular vote is like part of the Democratic Party's neuroses, one of their numerous eccentricities. Everyone knows in the Constitution, and everybody knows that all of our elections for president involve the Electoral College. They outspent Trump 2-1. Okay. They outspent Trump 2-1. And so what happened was they then said, well, we got the popular vote. We got the popular vote. How dare you? We got the popular vote. Well, now Bernie Sanders has the popular vote. The difference being there's nothing in the Constitution that says Iowa needs to have 10 different alignments. Didn't I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, didn't I tell you that they were going to cheat Bernie Sanders with the different alignments, all these bizarre different alignments? All these different bizarre alignments where they had to recount and retabulate and formulate some kind of new mathematical equation. So Bernie got a lot more votes than Mayor Pete, but because of all the other candidates like Klobuchar and Biden and Warren, all the other candidates where he was able to get and gobble up their support within these precincts, he won. So it really didn't matter what his, like, they say, well, Bernie Sanders won in the first ballot, well, or the first alignment. Well, who cares? UFO Talk. Dwyer was wrongfully convicted of bribery. The actions of a vindictive federal prosecutor and his political rivals led to his public and tragic end. UFO Talk. I'm going to do more research on that, and I appreciate that, and you know, continue the great work. I'm not well versed or knowledgeable enough to talk about what took place, and I know you are, but keep up the great work. Dwyer was wrongfully convicted of bribery. The actions of a vindictive federal prosecutor and his political rivals led to his public and tragic end. Thank you, UFO Talk. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, politics is not, like, sports is far more, I should say, real. Politics is not real. There's nothing real about politics. There's nothing real about politics. And unfortunately for people who, who I guess are good people and they go up against political rivals that try to fabricate everything. And it's just UFO Talk. Thank you so very, very much. Keep up the great work. Shungu Patsika! Oracle Goodman strikes again. Yes! HRC 2020 coming soon. Yes! Shungu Patsika, thank you so very, very much. Greatly, greatly appreciated, and thank you for watching. Yeah, I mean, it's happening. In Shungu Patsika, it's happening like clockwork. It's unbelievable, too. Biden is now facing issues in South Carolina. That was supposed to be a state that he was going to win. Now he's facing major issues there. Hunter's issues are, you look, Treasury Department turns over Hunter Biden financial documents to Senate Republicans. The Treasury Department has granted a request from Senate Republicans for financial documents related to Hunter Biden's relationship with the Ukrainian gas company, according to Senator Ron Wyden. The Republican committee chairman, along with Senator Lindsey Graham, chair of the Judiciary Committee, are moving forward with their probe even after President Trump was acquitted by the Senate Wednesday because they know that in 2020 they want to keep the Senate. Joe Biden is in real trouble. This is an article right here. Wait, the Democrats have to nominate somebody, right? Yeah, the Democratic presidential is surprisingly, weirdly, unpredictably wide open. No, I've been telling everyone for 3 years it's going to be Hillary Clinton. She's still there. Shungu Patsika, thank you so very, very much. Notice how they're going after the Bidens even after impeachment. Impeachment served two purposes. The biggest wasn't to go after Trump. They didn't even impeach Trump on anything to do with a crime. The biggest was to make Joe Biden completely and utterly unelectable. GOP senators request travel documents in Hunter Biden investigation. Republican senators request Hunter Biden's travel documents for probe. The Hill, GOP senators request details on Hunter Biden's travels for probe. Okay, why? Why? Well, because he had business in China as well. M. Tracy has the pulse of the cheating going on. Yes, he does. He does good work. Pilgrim Driver. Yes, he does. So you look. There's a probe of Hunter Biden. There's the numerous probes. Okay. Well, they want his financial records. They want his travel documents. Okay. You have Madam Secretary lurking, waiting for the right time. Biden is not going to be, if Biden doesn't, let's put it this way, Biden has to have a convincing victory in South Carolina. He's now losing support in the polls. There's Deval Patrick, and there's other candidates who are gaining momentum in South Carolina and other states. So the fact that there are so many candidates, see, if you give voters like one person, like a choice other than Clinton, they'll choose Bernie Sanders, they'll choose President Trump, they'll choose President Obama. But if you give voters 20 choices and Hillary's not there, then they don't know what to do. Then Clinton says, oh, you need me? Okay, I'm coming. UFO Talk! Thank you. It's a sad commentary that Trump and Dwyer got punished for other people's crimes. We Americans must demand better from our courts. No, I agree with you. Oh my God almighty, there's so many examples of corrupt, vindictive prosecutors. Yeah, and that's why when they said, well, no reasonable prosecutor would indict Clinton, I was like, okay. You even had Kamala Harris, who withheld exculpatory information. I mean, these prosecutors throughout the country are notorious for withholding exculpatory information, for continuing to try to set up people, even though continuing to try to set up people even though they know a person's innocent. UFO Talk, thank you. Yeah, it is, you know. Costello, Cheater Pete is not a good candidate for Costello. Cheater Pete is not a good candidate for anything. I respectfully disagree only on this issue. I don't like his stance on foreign policy, and I don't really know how he's different from, let's say, Kamala Harris on any issue. The only thing I will say though is that I will say that he is what the Democrats want in terms of a less polarizing candidate. What I mean by that is Bernie Sanders isn't polarizing in how he acts. He doesn't try to. His message, Bernie's core message this year, is not as inclusive. There isn't crossover appeal with Bernie Sanders this year. There was in 2016. Exactly, Brian Levy. Trump won the Iowa caucus. Exactly, he did. He did big time. So did Hillary Clinton. But in 2016, Bernie Sanders was basically Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard of 2020 was the Tulsi Gabbard of 2020 was Bernie Sanders of 2016. That's why he had such momentum. Okay, now you have this woman who withdrew her vote, and then in Iowa, and then instead of Pete Buttigieg doing the usual, cyber bullying, and he said, no, I want to be the president for that lady as well. And so there you go. That has turned 3 years of Democratic Party politics. I mean, Pete Buttigieg is actually a good candidate for what the Democrats want to. They want another President Obama. So when you listen to Mayor Pete, he's really exactly like President Obama in terms of how he speaks, how he tries to bridge these divides. And now he might even win New Hampshire. So Pete Buttigieg continues to surge in New Hampshire polling. Buttigieg on woman who withdrew her support. I'm running to be her president too. So there you go. There you go. The Democratic Party was not going to ever allow Bernie Sanders to win. Not going to ever allow Bernie Sanders to win. Okay? It just wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. And if you look at the total state delegates, he has 564 to 562 to Bernie's. The whole thing is nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense. Okay? It's absolute chaos, nonsense, but that's what they want. They want people. Democrats don't care about winning. They care only about. It's a political machine. It's a political machine. They care only about. They care only about upholding their machine. The machine is run by two people, Madam Secretary and Bill. This is CNN Politics. Pete Buttigieg keeps narrow lead in Iowa with 100% of precincts reporting. So there you go. It is what it is. And they're going to recanvass and recount. And what do you think's going to happen? They spent all this time cheating Bernie Sanders, and then the recount of the recount of the recount of the recount of the recount, they're going to finally say, you know what, let's be fair. We'll give it to Bernie. The whole thing's a charade. It is a charade. There is nothing. The Astros were more fair the way they won than this. At least they had to hit the ball. They might have known what was coming, but at least they had to hit the ball. At least there was some. At least the umpires were there. Okay. At least the confines and the boundaries within the stadiums were acknowledged and abided by over a century of baseball. Okay. Look, it is what it is. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Pete is an establishment candidate. Pilgrim driver! Bloomberg paid for CNN debate rules change. Exactly. Look, when people say, I am Siler, hello, hope all is well. When people say, this is Bernie's year, Bernie can win, when I was saying it, nobody believed it. Now, because a lot of people are saying it, they're about 4 years too late. I was 4 years ahead of the game. Now I'll be 3 years ahead of everybody else. I understand. I've been a lifelong Democrat. The Democratic Party changed. When President Obama won, that was the last time that there was any semblance of meritocracy. When President Obama won, Bill and Hillary did not run the Democratic Party. It was not so much a political machine. After President Obama won, Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State. There was no business. There was no reason for President Obama to do that other than the Democratic Party becoming more of a political machine. Because she wasn't going to give, what was it? She had the people against the Pumas. She didn't want to, she said, if you want my voters to vote for you, she wasn't even going to endorse President Obama. She said, you better give me a top position in your administration. Okay, Christopher Hitchens has a great, had some great appearances where he's like, what are they doing? Why would they put Madam Secretary as Secretary of State? Why would they do that? Florida Man Bear, free Assange. Absolutely. And God bless him. Absolutely. Life Road Toll, hello. Absolutely. I agree 100%, Florida Man Bear. I agree 100%. He deserves freedom. He deserves freedom. But that's the thing. That's the thing. There is no journalism anymore. There's no such thing as journalism anymore. It's all public relations. It's all what George Orwell talked about. That's it. That's it. It's all what George Orwell talked about. This is all public relations, ladies and gentlemen. And you can say what you like about me, but I went against the grain when I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and I went against the grain when I was a Trump supporter, and I wasn't bound by any groupthink, because the groupthink said, oh my God, Bernie can't win. Oh my God, just vote for Clinton. Oh my God, if you're on the left, do not do anything. Do not do anything to help Trump win. And I said, well, one person's a criminal, one person's Bernie Sanders. Bernie should probably talk about her emails. Bernie should probably fight for himself. But you know what? At the end of the day, he didn't even want to. He said. At the end of the day, he said, well, I'm against the withdrawal, or I want an orderly withdrawal of Americans. So there you go. He didn't even back President Trump removing Americans from a hotspot. UFO Talk! I'm sorry, Dwyer's case has me fired up about the corruption in our courts. There were several reversible errors in Dwyer's trial. Trump nearly met the same fate. Mayor Cheat is a crook, but he's liberal. Yes, he invested in that wonderful app that UFO Talk and Florida Man Bear. It was a coincidence, an absolute coincidence. Now, I'm not saying that there was any foul play, but it just so happened that former Clinton campaign officials were part of an app. It's just, everyone, it's just coincidence. Look, it's just coincidence, okay? It's just coincidence, Surely Madam Secretary won't use the chaos within the Democratic Party to swoop in. And when she does, nobody will remember how they felt a year ago. Nobody will remember how they felt a month ago. Nobody will remember how they felt yesterday regarding Iowa or 2 days ago. One thing about social media and Democrats, their sentiments and emotions and feelings, they're so fickle. They're like a leaf in the wind. They can be moved and transferred to any direction that the media and Hollywood in general want them to be located. So it's always going to be, well, we have to stop Trump. We have to stop Trump. And if you and if I and if people watching this, ladies and gentlemen, how many people have lost friends, have family members that don't talk to them, have friends on Facebook that don't talk? I don't have Twitter or Facebook anymore. Long ago, I deleted those accounts. But how many people have these, maniacal, rabid people that they used to know who don't talk to them anymore because of their support for Trump? It wasn't the Trump supporter. It was the people who didn't want anything to do with the Trump supporter anymore. Could be a family member, could be a friend. Do you think they want to go through that on the left? Do you think they want to be ostracized the way you and I might have been? No. So when Clinton runs, it's going to be instant circle the wagons around Madam Secretary, and she knows that. Pilgrim Driver, HA is the walk-away movement effective. Thank you, Pilgrim Driver, thank you. I've done a whole bunch of, walk-away videos, but they never really are labeled walk-away videos. It's always like, it's never really viewed as a walk-away video, but this political thing, you have to also not care that people dislike you. There are a lot of people who used to really dislike me, and I know that it's interesting that subsided because of when I deleted my social Twitter and Facebook, and it was just YouTube. There's actually less people who dislike me now, more people who enjoy my work, but they had to search to find me in a way. So it's actually been to my benefit. And also my writing speaks for itself. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. NPR quoted me. I had 100 articles in the Hill, the Huffington Post, and Salon, and then there's articles in the Federalist. So, but the interesting thing is, in politics, you cannot worry about what other people think of you. You cannot worry about losing the support of, because there are always going to be people who don't like what you say. There are always going to be people who don't like what you say. There are always going to be people who think that you're wrong, and especially within the Democratic Party at this moment in time, it is a cult. It is a cult. It is basically a cult. It is basically an arena. It is basically an arena where, thank you everybody. It is basically an arena where if you deviate from the norm, you will be a pariah in that world. Now, I never cared. Maybe because I learned at an early age that if people are going to insult you or denigrate you or mock you because they don't have an argument, well, that actually has to do more with their problems, not yours. And I noticed that the first thing that Democrats tried to do, or the first thing that people who didn't like me tried to do, was write hit pieces, try to disparage me, try to marginalize me, try to silence my voice. It didn't work. Also, I had a healthy dose of maybe, arrogance, but the people who didn't like me, I didn't like them. So if they were writing bad things about me, it's not like I respected their opinion anyway. So you kind of have to have a little bit of that kind of, Sig Kim, thank you so very much. Thank you, everybody. Kay Belzer, hello. Thank you. The great thing about supporting Trump is that you're supporting a president who objectively is doing great work. The uproar around President Trump is completely contrived and fabricated. If they really were offended by his tweets, they wouldn't publicize his tweets. They publicize his tweets because they don't have policies. They don't have policies because the Democratic Party is essentially Republican light. That's it. They have 3 or 4 core differences. Other than that, they're Republican light. And they're more interventionist, and you have more militarism on the Democratic side. And they run off social media justice. Social media justice, which actually Pete Buttigieg is trying to reverse in a way. Which I actually... I'll say this. There are a lot of positives about Pete Buttigieg's campaign style. His campaign style is very similar to President Obama's. He's a very similar candidate to President Obama. A very similar candidate. There were Republicans who voted for President Obama. There might be certain conservatives who vote for Mayor Pete. There used to be conservatives who liked Bernie Sanders in 2016. But that's what UFO Talk. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post. But the Democratic Party, it's very interesting. They basically took out Bernie Sanders. So Pete Buttigieg keeps narrow lead in Iowa caucus with 100% of precincts reporting. Pete Buttigieg holds a slim lead over Bernie Sanders in Iowa, with the Iowa Democratic Party on Thursday announcing that 100% of precincts are reported. So, what can I tell you? Other than they cheated Bernie Sanders in broad daylight. And what can I tell you? What can I tell you? It's pretty unbelievable, too, because who could have predicted? Even I couldn't have predicted an app. This is hilarious. This is an app made by, designed by former Clinton officials. I mean, can you get more obvious? Why don't they just, I have this new app. It's called the Bernie Cheat app. What happens is this. It's so fantastic. First of all, you type in the words, I feel your pain. And then that gets you to a 3rd or 4th alignment where if Bernie Sanders is up by 20,000 votes, what happens is Mayor Pete gets the final state delegates minus, plus, divided by, multiplied by the stars and constellations in the Milky Way. And that's a quotient of a derivative of a whole lot of different things. It's so difficult to understand. It's really, really Stephen Hawking helped develop it, yes. Anyway, it's a new app that I'm starting. I hope it helps Iowa. That's basically if you if you basically had Bill Clinton develop an app, if you had Bill Clinton develop an app, that's basically what it would be. You know what I mean? It's like, I have this new amazing technological tool. Oh my goodness. It's so good. I know you're going to need help tabulating those pesky little ballots. So what I'm going to do is give you this wonderful piece of technology. And whatever happens, Mayor Pete's going to win. Okay? Bernie Sanders had nothing. UFO Talk! HA, could you interview me about my book and my case to get Dwyer pardoned? I'd love to hear your thoughts and your audience about his case. I can't promise that. I don't know if I can. UFO Talk. I don't really do interviews anymore. I used to when I was like about 2-3 years ago. I would have probably instantly jumped at it, but now I don't do interviews. So if you notice, I haven't done an interview. If people remember, I used to do interviews all the time on this channel, but because of YouTube policies and a whole lot of things, I just focus on live streams and my other channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel. So UFO Talk, I don't think I can. But email me some information. I don't do interviews anymore, but it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. That's my email address, contactgoodman78@gmail.com. But UFO Talk, keep up the great work, and I know that sounds like you're very, 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 very passionate about this. I'm gonna do some research on that. Seems like a really tragic situation. Seems like it's just a horrendous situation I got to do research on. But UFO Talk, thank you. But hey, listen, that's great. I mean, if a story like that drives you, keep on going, and get that book out. You can also pitch articles to different publications, which you should probably think of doing as well. If you have a whole bunch of information on this gentleman and the tragedy that took place, write an article. Go and find out the guidelines of how to pitch an article to whatever publication. If it's a conservative publication or if it's a whatever the publication is, just say, look, I'm doing research on this for a book. Here is the research I've compiled. This is why your readers will enjoy this article. The article is 800 words, 1,000 words, 650 words, whatever. And just say it abides by your submission guidelines, and pitch yourself the topic, why the readers of that publication would want to read an article on Mr. Dwyer. And that's one thing you might think of doing as well. So, Great Informer. Share HA's live stream. Censorship is on the rise. Thank you, Great Informer. Thank you. Yeah, it's it's really interesting. Hillary Clinton is going to become nominee, and it's just a matter of when she decides to run. So Pete Buttigieg keeps narrow lead. Mayor Pete raised $2.7 million in days after Iowa. That's close to half of what Biden has in the bank saved up. So, he has charisma. I will say this. Bernie, God bless him, his charisma is based off of like this revolutionary quality, but you can't talk about revolution if you don't fight. So that doesn't really you can't do that. You can't do that if you don't really fight and go after people the way Trump does. I mean, who told Mayor Pete to declare victory? Bernie Sanders should have done that. And of course what happened was the DNC informed Mayor Pete's campaign because they cheated. Because Biden's going to drop out relatively soon. Eventually, before Iowa, Biden will drop out. If you give money to Biden's campaign, you're just wasting money. I mean, you're really just wasting money. That's absurd. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? Why would you do that? So, why on earth would you do that? You're giving money to Biden's campaign. It's for what? To help legal fees when he's getting investigated? What's the point? Okay, now you have he's losing steam, and even Bernie Sanders is losing steam in New Hampshire. So And the more that Mayor Pete becomes nationally recognized, and he's not going to become nominee, Clinton will, but the more that he takes Bernie's appeal, he will take Bernie's appeal away from people. That's going to happen on the Democratic side. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Thank you so very, very much. Carl's Opinion, UFO Talk, everyone here, Florida Bear Man, everyone here, thank you so very much. God bless. Thank you for your support. I will be back tomorrow. We're going to have a great day tomorrow. This whole year is going to vindicate everything that I've been saying. In my writing, I have my article in the Times of Israel, my article in 2019, and my Huffington Post article in 2017. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. I'll leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. They do not care if they lose. They just want to lose the right way. You know that song, I love you the right way? They just want to lose the right way. Democrats just want to lose the right way instead of win the wrong way. And that's rational to them. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right this second. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right this second. I have a great segment that is uploading right now. Thank you so very much, everyone.